welcome to Sports Closer with my co-host Ed Marin. This is Mike Fiorello. Today we're at Edinboro University, home of the Fighting Scots, to talk to the new athletic director, Dr. Katherine Robbins. And Katherine, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get right to it. Why don't you tell us your background, where you were born and raised, and sports you might have partaked in?
Sure. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and grew up there and went to North Allegheny High School. Played soccer at North Allegheny, but I started water skiing when I was 4 years old, and my father got us into the sport. He was a water skier, and his family used to come up to Presque Isle every summer and
Tell
water
us
ski
about
there.
when you were born, your dad bought a boat?
Yes, so my dad, the year I was born, it was always his dream to have a boat, and the year I was born, he was able to afford it. So I grew up at 9 Mile Island on the Allegheny River near Fox Chapel, and we skied. Grew up on that island. Every weekend we spent, sometimes camping out. And when I was 4, I asked, Dad, I want to learn to ski, and he taught me to ski. Fast forward a few years, and I wanted to learn how to jump, and my father wasn't real comfortable with the people in our club teaching me how to ski. I think they were a little on the wild side, and it can be dangerous. So
Sure.
he researched it, and he sent my brother and I to a ski school in Ohio. And our coaches there, Chip and B. Debus, got us involved in competition skiing. And I used to come up here in the summers and train at Dave's Pond in Edinboro. It's between here and McCain, a little private pond that he built just for competition water skiing.
Wow, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? As a young person, you were up here training, and then one day you would get this job at Edinboro University.
Yeah.
That's kind of eerie in a sense.
Yeah, full circle almost.
What colleges did you go to?
Well, I went to the University of Central Florida on a water
UCF.
ski. Yeah, on a
The
water.
Knights.
That's right.
And how many people were there?
There were only about 20,000 students. I think like 19,000 students when I went. There was only about housing for about 4,000 students. So most people were commuters, and I lived with a roommate on a lake. I was fortunate enough to live on a lake, and so we skied there. And
Wow.
Orlando is the water ski capital of the world.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I went, and we're a very good team. We the first year we got second at the nationals,
So
collegiate
you skied
nationals.
for the college, did you?
I did.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. I went on a full scholarship, and
Nice.
people kind of raise their eyebrows
Yeah.
when I say that, but they do offer scholarships for water skiing. It's not NCAA, but it's NCSSA. We have a governing body through USA Water Ski.
Help pay for education, that's what counts.
It did, absolutely. Yeah.
So what did you take up when you were at UCF as far as a major?
At UCF, I from the 3rd grade, I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I never wavered from that. So at UCF, I was an elementary education major.
You knew you were going to stay poor then.
I did, and I was okay with that because
Unfortunately, educators don't make big
Right.
money.
but I would have the summers off so I could ski.
Yeah, you go.
right?
That's right.
And then I transferred to the University of Louisiana Monroe. I won a national championship with UCF, and then I won a national championship with ULM.
Why did you transfer?
I transferred because I met a guy and fell in love.
That's nice.
And
Usually,
transferred.
usually a lot of times guys move because of the girl, and this time you moved because of the guy. So that's cool.
I did, but I went to the rival, so it was like scandalous at the time.
Oh wow!
But I think I still am the only collegiate skier ever to win a national championship with 2 different teams.
Have you ever been back to either one of those universities?
Yes, I've been back to both from time to time.
The UCF campus has grown. I think when you were there, their football was real small at that time. Their
It was.
program, correct? It wasn't D1, I don't think, at that time.
I don't believe it was.
Right.
It may have been, but we played in the Citrus Bowl downtown, and the ski
Yes,
team used to go
that's
to the
right.
games, but we weren't very good.
Right.
It's not like it is now.
So, did you stay in education?
I did stay in education. I added, when I got to the University of Louisiana Monroe, I added special education because of my advisor and mentor.
Yeah. Good way to get a job quick, too.
Yes. I didn't even know what special education really was until he introduced. I had intro to special ed my senior year. Semester 4 I student taught, and he kind of kept working on me and said, my kids are the kids that really need the best teachers. You need to dual major. So
No
I
doubt.
did,
learned about IEPs and so forth.
I did, and then I got my master's there. He encouraged me to go on and get my master's. I actually got my master's in special ed and got
Nice.
certification at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
You
And
did some student teaching down there too then, or?
I did. I student taught in both first and sixth grade.
Okay.
And
That opens your eyes. And a
It
lot of
does.
people have never been on that side, and I was in education for 36 years. That's why I know that as a teacher and administrator. Don't know what it's like to walk into a classroom, whatever grade level is, and with a bunch of young people and be their teacher. It's kind of rewarding in a sense.
absolutely, it's definitely rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, tell us about your further education.
That same mentor, Dr. Skeet Kriegmore is his name. He really, I didn't even ever aspire to be a college professor, but I would meet with him regularly as my advisor. And as I was midway through my master's degree, he said, "Okay, so when you're finished with this, you're going to move to Florida. You're going to teach for 3 to 5 years. Excuse me, and then you can ski down there. Then you can go to you're going to go to the University of South Florida, and you're going to study under my major professor, Dr. Jim Paul.
He's planning your life out. I kind of like
and
this.
then you're going to be a professor." And I kind of looked at him and I said, I really appreciate all your faith in me, Doc, but
He knew you had it.
he did, I guess. He knew what my special gift was before I even did. So I moved back. I didn't go to Florida. I moved back to Pittsburgh. Didn't work out with the romantic interest for why I went there. And I moved back to Pittsburgh, and I taught at Shaler Area School District first I taught at Wesley Highland School, which is a school for severely emotionally disturbed children.
Wow.
Which
You
was
have a lot of patience.
incredible experience.
Yeah.
I learned so much, and then I went to Shaler and I started their emotional support program.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You said you learned so much. What did you learn that you, to this day, that really stays with you when you went there?
Well, we had the kids that were most challenging
Yes.
of anybody. So I worked under a lead teacher. We had a lead therapist and a milieu therapist in the classroom. So there were 4 of us in the classroom, 4 adults in the classroom for about 12 kids. So that tells you the level of intensity
Sure.
of these students, and their backgrounds, the stories, just absolutely heartbreaking. We had one student who was locked in the closet for the first 4 years of his life, so he was, severely delayed.
Because the family didn't know how to deal with his handicap and were embarrassed
Right.
maybe and so forth.
Yeah, well, he and his brother both. They were,
Wow.
and it was a while before social services found them.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was heartbreaking, but I learned so much. It was extremely rewarding. I
What did you
loved
learn
the
about
job.
yourself doing that?
I learned that I have a lot of patience, which I didn't know I had, because I'm not patient with myself.
Right.
But I'm extremely
That's
patient with
because you're a
others.
competitor, you're an athlete. Most athletes that are good aren't. They just want to keep, increasing or getting better in their performance.
Right. Yeah. So I learned that I had some patience. I learned that you never give up on a kid. So
Excellent.
we had some tough days, but
Sure.
but the next day was a new day, and you got to be there for those kids. You got to believe in them. You got to love them, because a lot of them don't have that.
Yeah, and you come here and you start this, the pilot program?
I did, yes.
What is that?
So while I was getting my doctorate at Clemson, I worked in athletics as a
And she's very happy, by the way, the Tigers won another national championship.
You had to rub that in.
Go
didn't you?
Tigers.
Yeah, Ed's a big Alabama
Oh,
fan.
are you? Okay, I'm sorry.
Has Derek Thomas been there? Sorry.
I got a lot of orange if you need to borrow some.
Oh.
I like that. So you tell us about that pilot program, as Ed said.
Yeah, so I worked at Clemson University first as a mentor. When they heard my background there, they had just started a program called the Student Athlete Enrichment Program, and they were using peer mentors and also learning specialists to assist students who had learning challenges, learning needs. Sometimes it was just behavioral issues. Sometimes it was that they're underprepared for college. Sometimes they just were struggling a little bit with the transition from high school
Sure.
to college life. And so I worked as a mentor. I worked with some incredible athletes. And then the year that I was writing my dissertation, when my coursework was finished, one of the learning specialists left, so they hired me full-time as a learning specialist. One of the, absolutely loved that job. Still close with several of the guys that I worked with. In fact, Ricky Sapp came up during football camp this summer and worked with some of our guys, spoke to the guys. He played in the NFL for like 5 or 6 years.
That's a great connection you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and up close with his cousin Daquan Bowers, CJ Spiller. I try to keep in touch with some of these
heard
guys.
that name in a while.
Yeah.
Byron Maxwell. He just was released from the Seattle
Right,
Seahawks, but
right.
Those guys are kind of my guy, my children, my faux children. So when I got
Nice.
here, I was here for about a few months as a first-year faculty member, and I had
What was your job when you first got here?
I was a professor in special education, and I had 4 soccer players in my 8 a.m. class, and they were just the greatest girls. Loved them, great students, great athletes, and they would always, hey, come to our games, and so I would go to the games, and then they invited me to be an honorary captain,
Oh.
which I didn't understand even what that was, but
Because you played soccer in high school,
I
so
did.
you understand the sport too.
right, yeah. So I went to serve as an honorary captain, got to know the coaches a little bit, and we started talking, and then we kind of started arranging social outings between faculty and coaches to kind of build some camaraderie
I like
there.
that.
And as I was talking one day, I was sharing with the former coach Scott Browning about my experience at Clemson. He said, "I have a kid. Would you be willing to work with him? He's just struggling to make the
Sure.
jump." I said, "I'd love to." And that semester, we started talking to Todd and Bruce, and my dean jumped right on board. We pitched it to the now president, then provost, and he loved the idea. And so I piloted it with
Does he still love it?
four students. What's that?
He still loves it as president?
He does. And yeah, anything, these kids
Yeah.
these kids are here to get a college
Sure.
education, and there's some kids with the similar stories to the kids that I work with.
Is this a program where other schools in the PSAC conference, we're going to get to the PSAC conference in a
Mhm.
minute, found out that you're doing it, maybe call and ask questions, how can we do it, or?
Cal U is doing it already. I
Okay.
have had some conversations with other ADs.
Yeah.
I went to an NCAA new athletic administrators training, and I had several, not from this conference, but several other
Sure.
Division II coaches ask me, how'd you get this going? How'd you get it started? And it's been very successful. And I've worked with several kids here.
What is the goal of that program?
The goal of the program is to retention and graduation. So we
So you-
don't want any kids to slip through.
So you have other mentors, other faculty
Yes.
members that are bought into the
Mhm.
program that are helping
Mhm.
student athletes or all students?
Student athletes.
Mhm.
So it's
Which is
all
tough to be a
service.
student athlete,
It
as
is.
you know, because especially when you first come on campus, right? In high school and college, a little different because you manage
Sure.
your own time and you're also being an athlete. And sometimes kids, I think, say, well, I'm going to go to class, but I got to put the rest of my time into my performance as an athlete and forget about studying or doing a paper and so forth.
Yeah.
So you teach them time management, I'd imagine?
Absolutely. So the research says that student athletes, Division II student athletes, spend over 70 hours just on academics and athletics. So it's almost 2 full-time jobs. These kids have a lot on their plate,
Yeah,
and
people got to realize that.
Yeah.
70 hours.
70 hours.
That
So
is
time
amazing.
management is
Yeah.
extremely important. And they don't have mom
Right?
asking if they did their homework every
Right.
night. So sometimes you got to have
And they have social life.
absolutely.
So-
Yeah, sure. You want them to enjoy
Sure.
college as well. But so it's a balancing act, and some student athletes are better at it than others, and so we use a lot of our peer mentors are student athletes, upperclassmen student athletes.
Nice.
Yeah. So and then we have faculty that buy in, and it's all service. It's all volunteer. So
Right.
it's it's incredible how the communities kind of come together to support these.
And then
Yeah.
the faculty like you did, some of the members then start going to more of the athletic events, whether it's cross country, swimming, whatever sport they go to,
Absolutely.
to see some of the students that they're helping, and
Sure.
builds a bond and a family.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it builds a community.
Yeah,
It's
right.
nice to see. It's a really a win-win for the kids and
Yeah.
the faculty that get involved.
And I bet your parents of those kids probably love that program.
They do. They do. So when Coach Lustig was here, he started asking me to come to their recruiting weekends and speak to the parents and,
Just going to say
and the
that.
students.
Yeah.
And I had several parents come up to me after and say, nobody does this. This is incredible. Thank you for what you do. And I still keep in touch with some. The moms still call me. And
Aw,
is my
that's
kid
neat.
is my
Yeah.
kid doing the right thing? Or I'll see them after a football game. Is my kid doing everything
Sure.
they're supposed to? So it's nice. It builds community. Makes us like a family.
Well, I had two daughters that played college sports. One played basketball in Florida. One was a setter for Clarion. This is years ago, and they didn't have those programs.
Right.
So as a parent and as an educator, I know the value of education, and that's a great thing you started here. That's a compliment to you, because as a coach, if I was coaching here, that's another selling point to try to recruit the athlete
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
You
A lot of the Division I programs have it,
Right.
and have the money to support it.
Exactly.
But Division II, we struggle there. So
Yes.
it really takes, it's a grassroots
Yeah.
volunteer, getting people to buy in, and it's been a lot of fun.
What else did you do at Edinboro?
I was faculty in
Right.
school, the School of
Special ed?
in Education. We have our program is counseling, school psychology, and special
Okay.
ed.
Right.
I was the assistant chair of that department, so I had a leadership role there.
So when you went to Clemson, what did you get?
Clemson,
get
I
your
got my doctorate in curriculum and instruction with a concentration in special education.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a
so
long
you're
title.
here. You're here. You're doing your thing.
Yes.
You're having a good time here. You got a lot on your plate, what you're doing, and this job opens up. And what made you say, I'm going to throw my hat in that ring? Or I know you were the interim for a while, but what made you say, I can help here?
Honestly, it was a complete shock. I didn't know the job was
Okay.
going to be open.
Right, right.
I got a call from the president, and I think my reaction when he pitched it to me and I wasn't responding, he said, well, you can say something. And I think I said, well, it's not the conversation I thought I'd be having with you today.
Sure.
It's a lot to think about,
Right.
because it really never was on my
A
radar.
goal of yours. It wasn't an aspiration to be an athletic director at a college. Or
Right.
university, I should say. So tell us, how'd you get here?
Well, they asked me, would I be willing to serve, that Bruce was going to be working in advancement, and
Right.
would I be willing to serve as interim. And so, I asked all the questions I'm supposed to ask, and I called my dad, and he's my life advisor, and asked his advice, and some other close friends of mine, see what they think, because I wasn't allowed to say anything here.
Right.
So, yeah, I agreed, and here we are.
Okay, so you're replacing a person that is a huge personality.
Sure.
Bruce Baumgartner was an Olympic champion,
Mm-hmm.
as we all know, a tremendous wrestling history that he had, also a former wrestling coach here. Any apprehension when you walked in here and said, well, I got a lot to follow, or are you one of these people to say, I have to do it my way?
I think there's always a little apprehension. There's obviously big shoes to fill there, and Bruce is a legend, and was incredibly kind and worked with me and helped me in my transition.
Which has got to help then.
Absolutely. But, I'm sure my leadership style, you can ask my coaches, I'm sure my leadership style is a little bit different than Bruce's, but, we make it work. I knew I had some things to bring to the table. Athletics is really kind of a bright spot here at the university. We have a lot to brag about. We've got an 80% graduation rate, and which is really good for Division II.
Phenomenal.
And
phenomenal.
So we have a lot to brag about. We have excellent coaches, and we had some challenges. I think there's not a university in the country that doesn't have some challenges right now, but I knew what the challenges were. I knew what the strengths were, and I thought, yeah, I can.
One of the
here.
programs you have at this university, a lot of them don't have, and being at your background, you just told us about special ed and so forth. You have the wheelchair basketball team.
We do. Mm-hmm.
And I would think your background fits that to a T also in promoting that, which is a great program here at Edinboro University.
Absolutely.
A lot of colleges don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your feelings are you proud of that program here at Edinboro? You got to be proud of it.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're following at all in the spring, but I always had Jim Glatch and his kids.
Who's from Meadville, by the way, Jim.
Right.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Jim.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great guy.
so
Gentleman.
I always would ask Coach Glatch and some of his players to come to my accommodations class in education, and it was all education majors. So
Mm-hmm.
it was special ed, but it was also
Regular education.
Yeah, sure. high school education, art ed, phys ed,
Right.
and so I would always have them come and speak about what kind of accommodations they need, what they appreciated from teachers, what they didn't appreciate from teachers.
Yeah.
And it was always eye-opening. It was always, when we talk about at the end of the semester what was the best part of the class, that was always a highlight. But as he would come and the kids would talk, my class got interested, and they said, what can we do to help? How can we help them? Can we make this a class project? So I said, let's do it. A lady that taught the class the semester before me, her class got involved, and they hosted their first ever end of the year banquet.
Mm-hmm.
They raised the money, and they facilitated the whole thing.
Nice.
Last year, and the last few years I would go because they would do a wheelchair awareness
Mm-hmm.
day at the Bayhawks before the game in the afternoon, and they would play city council. And I went to a couple of those and just was in awe of these guys. And I thought, we need to do this.
We did a game
did that?
with it was the Steelers last year.
Steelers came here
Well,
last year.
right.
and
So
we
then
did that game.
that was my okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I remember you from. So my class this last semester said, what can we do? And I said, I think we can do this on a bigger scale. Let's see if we can get the Steelers basketball team to
Yeah, that
come
was
play
great.
us.
It was fun.
So-
Dobbs and all.
And,
they had a
and,
blast.
one of their quarterbacks, Dobbs,
Yes.
I interviewed him, and I didn't know at the time, but he told me during the interview that his mom has been in a wheelchair since he was a youngster. So he appreciated what these athletes do here at Edinboro. And I thought the
Absolutely.
Steeler players had a good time with
They did.
the athletes, and it was a great thing. That was a
Yes.
great thing you guys put on.
Well, thank you. So that was even before this was on my radar.
Right.
So it was just kind of a service thing, and then they had announced that I was going to be the interim kind of right
Mhm.
before that
Right.
event happened. But we built some bonds there too. So Corrales Dupree
Mhm.
on our wheelchair basketball team, and Jake, I don't remember his name. He's a tight end. I think he still plays for the Steelers, or he's on the practice squad maybe.
Okay.
It
Thank
begins
you.
with it's like McGinnis or McGee or
McGee.
McGee.
Jake McGee. So the two of them got to know each other, and Jake invited Corrales down for a game,
Nice.
and he is Corrales started his own foundation, Protect My Brother, because Corrales was actually shot by his mother's boyfriend. Came into the house after they broke up and shot his mother, himself, and his brother. And so he started this foundation out of that tragedy. But Corrales is an incredible individual. But any person you talk on that wheelchair basketball team has just an inspiring, amazing story.
It's amazing to me you guys have that program, and it's been a very not just a good program, but they've done pretty well playing their games.
Absolutely.
And they travel a lot because there's not a lot of programs. Because I've known Jim, and one of the things I always thought was the other coaches at Edinboro, if their players are whining about something, can probably say, "Look at those kids.
Absolutely.
They're busting their butt, and they have to be in a wheelchair to play that sport." Luckily, you people don't have to be.
Right.
So, how's it going for you so far as the AD at Edinboro? Let me ask you this too:
Sure.
Were some of your colleagues surprised when it was finally announced? Because I know it was quiet until it was publicly announced.
I think so. Yeah, I think there was
Yeah,
some
and then
surprise
ask you,
there.
what the heck you doing? Why do you want to do
did.
this?
Some did. Yeah, a few people did. A few of the athletic directors in my first PSAC meeting said, "Why would you go from faculty to?"
Yeah.
Some of us are trying to go from AD to faculty.
Right.
But, I thought
You had a
I
lot
was
to
called
offer.
I was called for a reason, and I was prayerful and thoughtful about the decision. And
Now, as the AD, are you still under the retirement of the
Faculty?
faculty Pennsylvania thing?
hmm
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
Bruce was actually faculty.
Okay.
The AD and the associate AD, Todd J. as well,
Okay.
are faculty positions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, how long you been the AD now officially?
Officially or as interim and?
Interim and officially about a year.
Not quite.
Not quite a
yeah,
year.
about 7 months.
Okay. Do you have, or did you have time yet to sit down with all your coaches and maybe in the process of doing this, your vision of where you want this athletic program to be 5 years from now?
Yes,
Do you-
we're actually working on that now.
Okay.
We've had a couple mini retreats, just in the morning because we don't have a lot of time.
Sure.
We plan to have a larger retreat in May when the kids are
Right.
done and the sports are done. But yes, we've been having a lot of meetings about where we're going, where we need to go, and we've made a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and we hope to continue that progress in a positive direction.
What is your philosophy of an athletic director? Do you have an open door with your coaches?
I
or
do.
If they have concerns, you want to hear them
Absolutely.
instead of
yeah.
hearing them from someone else?
Exactly, yeah. So I do have an open door policy. Sometimes it gets a little hectic, and I'm here late nights because of that. But I think it's important, especially early on, because I need to get to know them. I need to trust them. They need to get to know me. They need
Sure.
to trust me. So I think it needs to be that way. Eventually, that maybe we won't need as many one-on-ones, but I think it's important right now.
Do you, you've only been here a short period of time, but do you, like, since you're new, have sat back a little bit and want to observe what your coaches do and see what their strengths and weaknesses are from observing them in a practice or a game situation?
I have, yes, and I actually have been doing that. I think it's just a part of my
Sure.
my nature as a former athlete, and I coach a little bit for skiing. So I've sort of been doing that because I've been going to competitions since I got here,
Right.
and so I got to know a lot of the coaches working with this program. Starting this program, I worked very closely with a lot of the coaches, so I know them pretty well. So I think I had an advantage there, where I wasn't just somebody coming in and where I didn't know.
Right.
But we have some amazing coaches. We
How
really
many
do.
student athletes do you have?
We're down a little bit this year. I think we have around 325, 330. I think we had about 350 last year, but I anticipate we'll be up again.
Good.
How is Edinboro, as far as I know, they had talked about some of the schools in the PSAC, they were looking at closing some at one time. I know Clarion's in the process, I think, of building a brand new gym or redoing their gym, which probably a good idea because that thing, my daughter played, that thing is. But anyway, is Edinboro going to be here 50 years from now, do you think?
Absolutely.
Edinboro University?
Yeah, I have no doubt. One of the things that I was pulled into as the interim right away was we had a few retreats with the entire leadership on campus, and I'm really encouraged with the leadership that's on campus. President Hannon is amazing. He's an excellent leader, and we really sat down and for a few day retreats, and we hashed out who we are, who is our identity, who is Edinboro University, and what is our vision, where do we want to go. So we're going to have a presidential search coming up, and so that when we have that presidential search, that we're hiring someone that fits our vision, fits our identity, and hopefully can, help us, achieve our goals.
Sure.
I'm also on the strategic planning committee, which just began on Monday night, and I can't be more excited about the leadership that's at Edinboro right now, and I think we have a really bright future.
What's the
Good.
biggest challenge since you took over? All of it?
There, funding's a challenge.
Is that where you help try to get the alumni involved?
Yes, absolutely. So, it's a lot to learn, but I think I've learned a lot in a little bit of time. Funding's a big challenge, and I think the perception of athletics, even within the campus community, I think there's some misconceptions there, and so. I think they have the perception that all of our student athletes are on full rides, and that's not.
That's not even close to being
exactly.
the case.
It's not not close.
And I know a lot of sports, they cut them up so they can get more kids involved, give some money, correct? Because you don't have a lot of full rides.
Right. Well, we don't. We really have very few. So
very few. Yeah.
Yeah. When you compare our equivalencies to our competition, we're in the middle of the pack in the PSAC, but unfortunately we're in the lower tier in our division because we have all the privates in our division,
Yes.
and they have a lot of scholarship money to offer.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest challenge. But what I have to say about our student athletes and our coaches is they don't care. They're the grinders. They love the grind. They're the overachievers. They're gonna work extra hard to get it done and come together, and that's what they've done. I mean, if you compare our dollars to the scholarship dollars of our competition, we're regularly outperforming those that have significantly more money. So with that kind of a coaching staff, the sky's the limit.
Do you, looking at your facilities, you have that dome you put up, which has been really advantageous to a lot of programs here, especially in the climate as Edinboro is involved in. And I know when you coached the indoor team, you guys used that a little bit, correct, Ed?
We used it
Dome?
for every practice,
Yeah.
and it was nice. And sometimes when we couldn't get in, they had either track meets, wrestling meets there,
Right.
like high schools would come up. So, I mean, it's utilized very well.
Absolutely.
Do you see any other upgrades in your athletic facilities? Do you guys have like a wish list of things you want to see improved or changed? And obviously funding is the biggest issue.
Sure. We're looking at all those things right now. We have a new director of facilities, and her and I have been working together, and I think part of that's going to be on the strategic planning committee, that our facilities, some of them need updated. We need turf.
And that helps with recruiting, right? Let's
Absolutely.
be honest, because I think
absolutely.
I'm not, give a plug it, but in Cal's facilities have really been upgraded. IUP's upgrading theirs, and if you don't stay with the Joneses or the
Right.
Smiths, kids are going to say, I like Edinboro, but I like their facility over
Sure.
there.
Yeah. So we're working on that. We're looking again strategically at what's the biggest need. What do we need to improve?
When you say turf,
the turf.
We're at baseball too?
No,
or-
on the we don't have baseball. We have softball.
Yes, how about
Yeah.
on the softball field?
The softball field's okay.
Okay.
The football field, football, soccer, and lacrosse use the football field, and
Right.
then a lot of our
It's
intramurals.
just women's lacrosse.
Yes.
So why only softball? I mean,
I think Edinboro
yeah.
did away with baseball at least 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. now, right?
That's correct. Yes. So Title IX, you have to have
Right.
equitable opportunities for both men and women. So all the schools that have a football team, there are no women's sports obviously that have 90 or more student athletes. So anytime you have a football team, you have to balance out the opportunities
Okay.
for women as the same opportunities for
Thus
men.
you have female lacrosse.
Correct.
Helps
Yes.
balance it out. How long has that been here?
That was the one that was most recently added.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It hasn't been too long, but I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I
That's
think
okay.
maybe in the last 10 years
Okay.
it was added.
So when you look at this facility,
Mm-hmm.
this facility at one time was the newest, best facility. We're talking about where your gym is and so
Sure.
forth. Because you added some sports since it was built, you had to maybe move some offices around, I'm sure, in this area.
We have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're packed in here.
So is that a thing maybe down the road you guys are looking at too, as you plan, maybe somehow extend this or make a little building next to it for some coaches or whatever?
Sure. Yeah, we're looking at a lot of different
Weight
options
rooms?
right now, and we actually Dave Hyam, who you met, is going to head up a facilities committee within athletics and we've been having regular talks with Ashley Spears, the new director of facilities, and yeah, we're working towards, where do we want to go?
Right.
What's our vision? And for here, for the dome, and for
Right.
the stadium, the most immediate need is for turf, new turf.
You got the pool in there.
We do.
How big is that? All the years I came here when I was coaching for arena, I never stepped foot in there.
Oh, really?
I mean, how big?
Oh, I'll have to take you over after we're done here.
Okay. Just don't push me in,
It's
please.
I won't. It's we can't host championships because it's not big enough, but we can host meets here.
Okay.
So it's a good size. I don't know
Is
the
that-
Have you ever
actual
thought
dimensions
about
of it.
building something?
So you
different
can
pool
host
area?
championships?
Yeah, so you can host it, because that would bring in a lot
Yeah.
more money.
So we're looking at all different options right now.
Which is kind of neat here, though,
Mhm.
to piggyback on that. Your football field gets used by the PIAA, as you know, for football and maybe some soccer. Your basketball, definitely basketball. Girls and boys playoff games are here because we've been coming here forever, broadcasting their games here at Edinboro University. I know that brings a lot of people in this, sometimes maybe for the first time to see what it's like, athletes. And so, yeah, I'm sure you're looking at all that to expand on that.
Sure, yeah. And then track, we've had big
Yeah.
track meets the last 2
Right.
weekends in the dome.
Oh, yeah, that
we'll have some
dome
more.
is one of the best things I think Edinboro's done in a long time.
It's impressive.
I just don't like it when
impressive.
it pops your ears when you walk in.
Yeah.
My head's going
And
to
they have
explode.
camps in there too, right? You have some camps.
We do.
We
We have
basketball
camps in there.
little kids, and
We have clinics in there
yeah, they
sometimes
have clinics
over
in there.
and during the
Yeah.
school year, and then we have camps in the summer.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's highly utilized.
All right, let me ask you this then,
Sure.
AD. What do you want athletics to be at Edinboro University? I mean, do you want your teams and coaches to go out and win championships? Do you want more championships being brought back to Edinboro? More dates on those signs in the gym that, we won in basketball, we won in football, we won in cross country. Cross country for a while up here had a premier program in this university. We're going to get back to where it was in cross country. How do you do that as the AD and keep a balance? Like we talked about earlier about evaluating coaches. Do you have the power down the road to say, I think we need a different coach in this sport?
Sure. Yeah.
As the AD, you have that power?
Absolutely. We do have, we're a state school, and we have contracts. We have
Right.
coaches' contracts. So, depending on the number of years on their contract, sometimes more difficult than others. And then we have some, financial constraints. But like I said before, all of our coaches work really hard. You asked me if do I want our programs to win? Absolutely, because I'm an athlete myself, and I'm very competitive.
But not win at all costs, correct?
Correct. So, but we're really in the business of changing lives and graduating kids so that they can change their lives and the lives of their families. We have a lot of first generation students here, and so that's the most important thing to me. Of course, I want to win, but I also want to win with integrity. I want to win because we're doing the right things, and we're doing the right things by the kids.
That's excellent, and that's an excellent answer. And just talking to you for this brief period of time and looking at your background and what you had, I can see why you got that phone call.
Well, thank you.
And I think people, when he made that phone call to you, I'm sure he got some reports on you. You just don't make a phone call, and I'm sure people told him that you're passionate. And what I'm getting from you is you care about the young person as an individual. Whatever their strengths and weaknesses are, as a total university, you want to make that person graduate from Edinboro University and get a career and have a successful life. Because, let's be honest, very few kids that play college sports, whether it's D1, D2, D3, are going pro.
Absolutely.
Like that commercial, which I really like that commercial. They're going to
Yeah.
go pro in something else. But it's a great thing when you play athletics, as you know, because it builds team building and how to handle yourself in different situations, because you're not always going to be in a positive situation,
Sure.
which benefits you in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Athletics is a great teacher.
Do you have the entire faculty on board helping the athletes?
We have a really supportive faculty here
That's
at
great.
Edinboro. Yeah, and they're invested in the students, and they work hard. I know sometimes the perception is that because there's a 4-course load every semester, that the perception is that these professors only work 15 hours a week, but
Yeah.
it's totally untrue.
But a lot of them are coming in the
That's
summertime.
1/3. That's 1/3 of their job. The faculty are working. A lot of faculty are working late nights, early mornings,
And they have office time
and they're
too, some of them, right?
sure, and they're invested. They really are invested.
And let's look at the athlete too. Some of the athletes I know in some areas are taking summer courses because during their sport they take a little bit of a lighter load so they can give time to their sport.
Sure, yeah. And some students, 12 hours is all they can handle.
Right.
We recommend they take 15. Some of our student athletes take 18, depending on their program. In education, we really, to graduate in 4 years and have a dual major, you have to take 18. So we have a lot of girls on the softball team and the soccer team that are education majors, and they take 18 hours. And it's tough, but they do it.
Imagine getting a real job working 12 hours a day and
Sure.
not having, kids that go to college, some of them drop out or, they just, fail out. But
Right.
it's nice to see that these kids, really take an interest and go all in to graduate, because if they don't make it to the next level, at least they have something to fall back
Right,
on.
absolutely. And we stress that all the time, that, I just had a talk in the stands last night at the basketball game with one of our football players, and who has aspirations that are pretty lofty, and I said, okay, but we need to have a plan B.
Right.
I believe in you, I'm rooting for you, but we need to have a
It's
plan
only
B.
4 years out of your life.
Right.
And it could be the best 4 years of your life, too.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the other thing I stressed. I said, college, believe it or not, I know there are times when it's a grind, but it's much more fun than adulting. So
Yes.
don't rush.
It goes too fast.
I try to tell my son
should
that
tell
all
the
the
parents
time.
that,
Yeah.
right? Because
It goes too fast.
It does. But we have those discussions a lot.
How's your athletic alumni? Is it strong in Edinboro?
It is. We have a lot of still local people that are invested. I'm just now getting to where I'm making some phone calls and meeting more people, and that's been fun. Meeting some alum and getting to know some folks, and we have a lot of alum that are really invested and really give back, and it's nice to have their support.
Mm-hmm. We touched on the wheelchair basketball team and their efforts, and I remember when I was still one of the administrators at Meadville High School, we had them there at an assembly,
Mhm.
and it was really good because a lot of our young kids, they need to see things like that.
Mhm.
These people are challenged, but they don't let the so-called handicap, because they don't view themselves as handicapped.
Right.
Really, they don't. They say, I have this disability, but I can get through and still be productive.
Sure.
And that's what I think is so great about that program that you have here at Edinboro.
Yeah, Jim does a lot of community outreach
Yeah.
too, and those guys do as well. And it is important because I tell the students all the time, there's one thing you'll never escape in life, and it's adversity. Everybody has it in some form or fashion, and you look to those kids on the wheelchair basketball team, and that's why they're so inspiring, is because they
Keep striving.
Yep, they keep moving, they keep achieving, they keep plowing through the adversity, and they're persistent.
If you had to look in the camera right now and tell someone that may be watching, a parent, a student athlete, why they should choose Edinboro University, what would you tell them? Here's your chance.
The people, the personal connection with our all across campus, administration, faculty, coaches, the leadership in here in athletics, it's really is a family. And if that excites you, you want to be a part of that, where it's about the people that are here, then this is the place for you.
Ed, any other
I
questions?
don't have anything.
We're going to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Nothing but great success down the road, and maybe we'll come back in a year or two to see how everything's going.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
For Ed, this is Mike. Thanks for watching Sports Close-Up on Armstrong.